Spencer Chamberlain, what's up, baby?
How are you, man?
Dude, I'm doing well. I appreciate you coming on the show. Congratulations on so much that's been going on. A lot of exciting things happening. No better way to kick off 2023. Am I right, my man?
Right, man. I know. I can't believe, first of all, how it became 2023 and it's like February
Yeah.
is just madness.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like it was Thanksgiving yesterday. So there's that, but yeah, we're stoked to be on the show, man. I've done this a bunch with you, and we always seem to run into each other here and there, and it's I don't know, I feel like we've been doing this for a long time.
Been doing the damn thing definitely for a while, man. And it's so funny that you mentioned that because there's always like that time period if you run into somebody after like a holiday, and it's like I feel like it's almost like 3 to 5 days that you can be like, oh, what did you do for this? But like
Right.
but the way that social media and this like instantaneous generation, we need our like immediacy on everything. I honestly, it's funny that you said that. I remember it wasn't this year, but it was last year. It was like maybe it was like a couple days after 4th of July. I was like, oh, what'd you do for the 4th? And the person was literally had to like think about it. And it was like 2 days later. But do you know what I mean? It's like, but I feel like you're not allowed to ask that like a week after. Like, for example, I have no recollection of what I was for Halloween. This past year, which is
Yeah.
sad because when I was younger, I think I would immediately have known.
The only reason I do, if you would have asked me that 2 years ago, I wouldn't have remembered. But the only reason I do now is so I have a daughter and she's 17 months old now. So everything, like, we are so much more like
In
photo, I guess,
tuned, right, with everything. Yeah.
but we're just like, and we're taking lots of photos and videos for memories, which normally I was the guy that, oh, I forgot to take, we went on vacation and I forget to take pictures. I'm like, if you're watching this and like, like I've never been much of a social media guy. I've never really, like a lot of dudes in bands smaller than my band have 80 times the followers because they post a lot and people like to see updates and stuff. And I never really did that. I'm trying to be better about it, but I've just never been the kind of guy to pull up my phone and take pictures of stuff
Right.
until I had a daughter. And now because you're capturing stuff all the time, you've seen how they grow, and it's like mind blowing to look back at a picture from a month ago and see how much
Right.
she's grown. And the reason why I can remember things like Halloween and stuff is because I go back. It's so silly because it's like you put them down at night and they go to bed, and then you're like making dinner and you're hanging out and you're like getting some alone time with your lady, and then you're like you realize that you're both it's only a matter of time before you're pulling out looking at pictures from the day or from a month ago of the baby who's sleeping one door down.
Right.
It's
Yeah. That parent life, man. Right. Jeez.
crazy, man. I never thought I'd have a kid. Everyone in the Underoath has kids, and they all had kids before me. I was the last one to have one, but having a girl as a dude is the best. It's like
Oh,
the dad.
really? Okay. All right. So it's not terrorized. All right. Because I have 2 nieces. I don't know my brother-in-law. I don't want to put him on the spot. We never fully went into it because, he is married to my sister. So it's like, I don't think he would ever fully
Yeah.
tell me. Oh, wow. So, okay. All right. Interested. Yeah.
For me, I think it's that like, I mean, granted, it's going to be terrifying when she's in high school and dating and stuff like that, and you're going to be probably heartbroken a million times. But right now, it's the best because it's that daddy's girl thing, and she like,
You're her hero. You're her
yeah, and
hero. Yeah.
even at 17 months, they tend to like run to dad all the time. It's sick because you get to spend all the time with the cute little baby. So
There you go, man. Well, listen, obviously, congratulations on all that. And yes, we are live here on the Gunz Show, speaking with our good friend Spencer. And yeah, man, known you throughout the years, and it's always been a blast. Appreciate you always coming on. And, whether it's just to shoot the shit and catch up or, to promote something. And, we got a great audience out there right now. Feel free to join us right now on Twitch, of course, on Twitch. And Twitch Music, and of course Adobe Radio and all the other places as well. Listen, a couple things. Obviously, I want to talk about Slow Tide. We're speaking here with Spencer Underoath, but also Slow Tide. I want to get into this because the new jams and the new song and all that is just like, you know what I mean? Puts me in a mood. Let's go. But I want to say a couple things because I saw you guys earlier. It's funny because I've seen Aaron kind of a couple more times than I've seen you, but I did see you guys last year at So What Music Festival, right? That was the one that Zemer put on down in Dallas. And that was one of the first ones that was like a lot of this genre came together. There were certain things like, you had like Chain Reaction Fest or Chain Fest, different things like that, here and there. But I felt like unless you did, actually it was before, Riot Fest. So it was actually earlier than Riot Fest. So I went down there. Zemer had me host one of the stages, and Hot Topic stage. It had an absolute blast. All the homies were there, but it was so rad. And I didn't get to tell you this, but I've seen Underoath side stage. I've seen Underoath in the pit, throughout the years. I've seen in the arenas on the side, everything. But for that fest in particular, I was able to see that 5-8 feet barrier between stage and barrier over the crowd. And I was right there, and it was electrifying. It was a mind-blowing experience that just hit me differently, just seeing how far you've been able to come. It's one thing side stage, but you can't hear shit side stage. Yeah, so I'm right there, and I'm seeing the sweat. I'm seeing everybody just go effing nuts, man. And I don't think I've told you. I've told Aaron this, but, like, I was blown away 15 effing whatever years later, dude, of how amazing this is. 20 years it's been. It's like...
It's so sick. Dude, I had a similar experience. We played a festival... 2022, and there was like 2 main stages, right? And it was kind of like when we were young. You remember how were you at when we were young?
Of course, yeah, absolutely. Side by side, right? Yeah, it's 1-1.
Yeah. But the one had the VIP area up front, which really messed up like what it felt like for the band, because all the fans are behind, only people that paid top dollar right here, and it made the front feel weird. So we played another festival that was like that, and our stage didn't have that. It was awesome. And then I went over, and Gojira was playing, and I had never seen them in this way. And because I had I just got off stage, so I walked around and used my pass, and I stood in that VIP area, which was it was before the barricade,
right.
like they had, and then they had another barricade behind. Oh, right. So there's the area that you were standing in for us, where the photographers are and the security guards are,
and then the VIP, and then
area. The VIP area was small. There was probably less than 1,000 people in there. And then the crowd started, and there's like 30,000 people behind you. And I was in there watching Gojira, and it sounded incredible because I was getting the PA, and I wasn't getting bumped into, and I would turn around every once in a while and see the people pouring over the barricade, having the time of their life with their phones out, filming, and like watching the confetti blow over me and stuff. And I was like, I like Gojira. I wouldn't say they're like my favorite band in the world, but I love them as a heavy band. I think they're incredible. But that experience felt like one of the best experiences of my life because of where I was and how I experienced the show. It kind of made me think of like, man, if as a concert goer, like the people that you're always wondering, like, man, why do they go up front and hurt themselves like that? Or why do they spend so much money for the front experience? That I finally had that in seeing the energy behind me and being there. I was like, oh, I would pay for this experience.
Right.
It made me finally be like, because I've always been like, man, why would people pay so much to be in this little area? It's like, it seemed like a ripoff always to me, and like being on stage performing to it. And now that I've actually done and like stood out there, I was like, dang, I would pay for that, because that was such a life change, like life changing feeling for a show. Like, and I was blown away. Yeah, it was awesome.
It's so fun that you're able to kind of literally just be able to relate to kind of what I just said. It was the fact that like, I've seen you guys forever, but like, am I waiting 10 hours to go to an Underoath show these days? No. I mean, I'm older now. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. Am I waiting 10 hours for anybody these days? Probably not. Literally, probably not. Right. But like it does. I was literally, people were like tapping me on the shoulder, like the photo pin and stuff like that. Like you're like, oh, hey, what's up, Gunz, and stuff like. It was like, yo, I'm enjoying this experience, and for you guys I've known for 20. My chase safety plaque over there from the Heat Seeker chart. You know what I mean? Like, I've known you guys forever, and I truly had a blown away experience. And I think that's a testament to you. It's a testament to the guys. It's a testament to the band. It's a testament to the fans that have really been able to rejuvenate, re-energize, resurrect, whatever word you want to use with Underoath all these years later, where, you know, you guys could just cash it. Like, not even cash it. You guys could just be like, oh, whatever, we're just going to play a show. Dude, blood, sweat, and tears, literally. And then when we were young, when we were young, got to see you, the guys there, still cry. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we weren't even supposed to play that festival, which was funny, which was weird. Like, I remember people like, everyone was super upset that we weren't playing it, and then
second weekend,
they called us last minute, and we almost weren't going to do it out of principle because like they didn't ask us to play it originally. Like, why would we play it now? But we were like, nah, fuck it, let's have fun. You know, all of our friends were there, and that show was incredible. But going back to what you were saying about all these years later, you know, it's wild to see. I noticed this a lot, and I try to make a point of it when I'm on stage. Typically, you're kind of like lost in the moment of performing and like you're kind of going back in your brain sometimes about the words you're saying. It's like coming out of your mouth. Like some of these songs I wrote, you know, 10, 15 years ago. And I've been in different points in my life. I've been in some really dark places, and you're kind of reliving some of that. And you're also getting the feeling of the crowd. And like, sometimes I try to stop myself in between songs and really zone in on where I am and like see how the crowd's doing and talk to them. And I started doing this thing where I was asking, you know, because we had these conversations on the bus, like some of our guys can be more negative than others. And they're like, oh, you know, these are people that just come, you know, they're all older and they've been listening to us since day one. And, you know, everyone in the crowd's over 30 and this, that, and the other. And I'll start to go on stage now and ask like, how many people are seeing us for the first time? Wow. And in every tour since we got back together in 2016, the Rebirth tour, you're seeing like 13, 16-year-olds, even like people in their 20s raising their hand for their first time. You know, we meet them at meet and greets and stuff and all that stuff. And I always ask like, you know, because I'm just as stoked to see the guy who's been there 50 times. Like, that's incredible. Like, wow. Keep coming back is a beautiful thing. But I'm equally as excited for the guy who just found out about us last week, or every time we've come through, you know, he's working or whatever, or
wasn't able to actually make it happen. Yeah,
it was like me. Like, I had older brothers growing up, so some of the shows I wasn't allowed to go to until I hit a certain age.
Right.
And
yeah, that's true.
You know, and then I was allowed to go, and some of those bands had broken up. Like, for example, Rage Against the Machine. I remember my brother and his friends going, and I was begging my mom to go. I was way too young, and I definitely couldn't have been there. But like, I really wanted to go, and now they're back together. You know, I've been listening to that band my whole life. But if I went now, you know, I missed the tour. I don't remember what happened. They were where I live, and I think I was on a flyout or something. But it just didn't line up, and I was super bummed. But if I went and they asked that question, I would be like, yeah, this is my first time. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I'm not a diehard Rage Against the Machine fan.
It just didn't work out. So, yeah.
You know, I think about that stuff all the time as a fan of bands and also as a performer. Like, just because the kid raises his hand, he's never seen us before, doesn't mean that he doesn't own all your stuff and have your vinyls and rep your songs all the time and live and breathe it. You know,
literally.
It's like, yeah, it's so exciting to see as the genres are kind of meshing together and bands are touring with, you know, what just got announced the other day was Fall Out Boy and Bring Me the Horizon.
Right.
You know, that 5 years ago even would have not gone over well. And now I think that's going to be a huge success.
That's where it's going to be massive. Plus the openers, dude, ever from Altrio to Newfound Glory to The Academy Is to like Games We Play to Days of Grenada, like the fact that like, I mean, that's what makes it all awesome. Yeah.
That's an exciting thing. It's like, I remember when we did a world tour with Taking Back Sunday, and it seemed like from the outside was weird because we were so heavy. You know, it was like Define the Great Line era.
Right.
And they were, you know, louder now or whatever. But it was such a great experience for the fans, you know, but like back then it was kind of looked at a little weird because it was like, why would this metalcore band be on tour with this, you know, emo or
like, oh, how dare they, right? How dare they cross genres, right? Yeah.
But now you're seeing it so much, and I'm loving it. I'm here for that. Like, I want to see festivals with genres on them, especially in rock. Like if you're playing any sort of loud music that's not just a laptop and a guy over it, like there doesn't need to be different festivals for all the different types of rock. Like let's just, I like to see it. Yeah.
I completely agree with you there, where it's just like I'm so over, especially being like a music broadcaster, an industry person and personality. I'm so over labels. I'm so over like how to describe it. It's like I don't care. I don't hold any judgments anymore. When I was younger, of course I did, like, oh, blah, blah. But even when I was younger, I liked ska. I literally had a ska and a Bush patch. Bush, Gavin Rossdale Bush on my goddamn Jansport backpack. Because it was like, oh, I heard Machine Head. It was like, bam, 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 bam. Like, I was like, I love that riff. I love that riff. There's a Bush patch. Like, but then like, it's like, oh, was it cool? Like, whatever. Like, you're exactly right, where it's like it's so rad to see like a Fall Out Boy and a Bring Me and all that to be able to kind of come together now and still absolutely crush it, knowing that they deserve it and more. But I'm also just everybody just open your ears, open your mind to all types of music. It is funny. We'll get to all this stuff obviously here on the Gunz Show. It's not really interviews, it's more so conversations. Known Spencer forever. We'll get to your questions in the chat room and more. But it is funny that you brought up Fall Out Boy. I remember speaking with Pete years ago. Well, actually, not too long ago. And we were talking about, like, Fall Out Boy had busted their ass for a good amount of years. And then all of a sudden, Sugar comes out and Dance Dance. That whole, Under the Cork Tree comes out. And all of a sudden, like, boom. They go from, like, that to, like, it's like, if you knew, you knew, into, like, oh, my God, everybody knows. Yep. And I was like, do you remember, like, what was that like? And he was like, honestly, dude, he's like, I don't. He's like, we were like, whether it was like radio dates or radio shows or this radio station, this is when radio was really still pinnacle and stuff, that you went to every city and performed, at their thing. He was like, it's kind of almost like a blur type thing to me, where I don't know. It was almost like a whirlwind of just everything happening, where he didn't kind of stop and pause. Maybe, I'm sure he did, but I'm just saying, kind of paraphrasing what he had said to me. Now, did you have that with like Underoath? Like
I think,
were you like, you kind of say now how like sometimes like you take a step back and appreciate it. Was it kind of like, oh my God, things are happening or did you appreciate every moment?
No, I think it's kind of similar to maybe what Pete said, is that, like, granted, we didn't have that kind of blow up, but like it definitely went from before Chasing Safety. I joined the band in 2003, and outside of like Florida and maybe Atlanta, we were still showing up and playing for like 50 people in a VFW hall, in a old van, towing shit down the road and pushing our own gear and all that stuff. And then we went out on Warped Tour 04 before Chasing Safety came out, and we weren't even allowed to have our gear ride in the trucks. We had to bring our own gear. We had to push our own gear through the rocks in the parking lot, through the mud, the rain, pull it through the grass. And we weren't on the blow up sign because Smart Punk stage wasn't allowed to be at the time.
Jesus.
And we had to pass out flyers. So we wake up every morning and it had our promo picture. It said Underoath. They're only Chasing Safety with the release date on it, which was coming out on that Warped Tour, but it was near the end. And on the back, we wrote Smart Punk stage at whatever
time that day.
We hit the line every day. First thing in the morning, half the people would look at it and throw it on the ground, like, who are these people? Like, fuck these guys, like, don't give me your trash kind of stuff. But we do it anyway. We'd load in and then we hit the line, and then we'd eat some food and take a nap, because we normally got to play later on Smart Punk stage, because the guys who were running it wanted us to bring a crowd over, and we were kind of like starting to building that buzz was from doing that. We were hitting the line and
the DIY,
we were putting on the show. Before that, we were always playing shitty small venues, opening up for other bands. That's how you got heard. Is, it wasn't like it is now, where you make a great sounding record. Like, had to be a good live band, and your record was a very poor representation of you, because you couldn't afford to make a good one. And all the labels we are and weren't spending the money. And you got out there and you opened for like 18 Visions, or you opened for Poison the Well, or whoever, like Underoath, all
Thursday, or
the bands, God forbid, like you got out there and you opened up or you were second floor, whatever, to prove. And that back then it was more of a scene thing, and people showed up and watched all the bands, and that's how you found out about other bands, was watching the opening bands. That's how I found out about Every Time I Die. I went to see Poison the Well in high school, and Every Time I Die was one of the openers.
Life changing, Ebola-rama, baby. Oh.
And I met Keith at the merch table, and he spilled wax on the T-shirt that I bought. And we had that conversation like 4 years later. We're on tour together. I'm like, hey, like we've done this, and I'm at your merch table buying your merch, and now we're on tour together. Anyways, wow. So the Warped Tour thing was happening, and we were seeing the growth on Warped Tour because we were like busting our asses, but it wasn't like, whoa, like a main stage crowd like you were seeing, So, and I think we were filling all the off days with club shows, which is crazy. Like we did the whole Warped Tour, maybe took like 2 days off because we couldn't afford not to, and we were playing these club shows, and we were going to headline, and Silverstein was with us, and they would play right before us, and then it was like a local opener, I think, every night, and maybe from first to last before they're like,
oh my god,
I can't remember, but I don't remember who else was. I know Silverstein was doing those shows with us, and we were tiny. And I remember the first one or two after Chasing Safety came out and people knowing the words, and it was like the Auto Bar. The other guys remember another venue, but my memory is the Auto Bar, because if you've ever been to the Auto Bar in Baltimore, it's small, it's a 300 cap room, and the stage kind of feels like you're right up on people, like, and it's all packed in. And we opened up with Dangerous Business, but we had the Blue Note little sample thing going before it, and that counts down, 3, 2, 1. And when I heard it count down, like we had cut it so there was a longer pause, and I could hear people's excitement. And then we hit Dangerous Business, and we started playing, and I couldn't hear myself because the crowd was singing so loud. And granted, this is a 300 cap room, so it's small, but to me, as a kid growing up I've been in bands my whole life. I was playing shows since I've been 12 years old. I've been playing shows in venues and selling tickets for them. And like, to me, making it wasn't arenas. It was hearing someone singing my words back at me. Like that to me was like, I remember there was a few local bands when I was growing up in middle school, going to like the high school kids shows, like where you'd see it, like they had a CD out and people would sing. I'm like, that's all I ever wanted.
Right.
Like
Totally.
Sing my words, like that I work on. And I remember playing that show and looking back at Aaron and going like, oh my God, because I couldn't hear because they were singing the words so loud it was just before in-ears, you were on floor wedges. And they couldn't crank the vocal loud enough for me to hear it over the crowd. And I was like, I remember getting on the bus that night and being like, we were on this 1983 bus because you had to be on a bus because you had nowhere to sleep. Right. Some bands did it in a van, but we were lucky enough to have this shitty bus that broke down all the time. It was the cheapest one we could find. It was older than all of us, and I remember getting back on that thing and being like, that's it. Like we did it.
That's what it's all about. Yep.
And then the growth, it's funny because I think as the growth was happening, things were so booked out. I think the venues were smaller than they could have been as things were blowing up. Like they were selling out, and like, but you're playing 500 people. So you don't feel this big boom because you don't go, our record's taking off, so let's jump to a 2,000 cap.
Right, yeah.
Like going to the VFW hall, like you've got all these shows booked. We toured like 10 months a year back then. And it just felt slow and gradual to me. But looking back on it, it's pretty wild. But like, you don't really notice because it was tour 10 months a year, go home, write the record, go in the studio, and then do it again. And like by the time we get through the Define the Great Line cycle, and we kind of have like a little breakup there on Warped Tour and got back together, like we were just falling apart, like we were so overworked and just going to where things just started to kind of get a little messy there. But like that's when you kind of notice like, oh, this is doing something. I remember never caring or knowing about record sales as a kid, and you got to think I was a teenager when I joined Underoath, so I'm like, I'm not even like full grown,
right? Like you don't even know what life is right now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
no, not at all. I'm a dumbass kid. So I remember when Define the Great Line came out, like this is it. What to me felt like the same. Like we never really went home from that Warped Tour. It was what it felt like, barely long enough to ever have a home. So like I'm like coming around again to Warped Tour 2 years later, and we're on main stage, and Define the Great Line comes out and it's #2 on the Billboard charts and sells almost 100,000 copies in the first week. And I remember calling my brother on my cell phone, like my older brother, and just being like, is that like, I don't know, is that good? Like, should I be stoked about, like, I don't know. Like, I didn't know. I was like, maybe just nothing came out this week. And he's like, it doesn't work that way. Like, records come out every week. Like, and I just didn't know.
Legit. Yeah.
I was like, is this supposed to be good? Like, I don't know. Like, I have no fucking clue. You know, I didn't even know what Chasing Safety sold at the time, because it went gold after Define the Great Line, which is a misconception. And the public, people think Chasing Safety was gold.
Right.
And then Define the Great Line came out and blew up. It wasn't. Chasing Safety was nowhere close. And we did a re-release of it. And then we hit Define the Great Line. That went way faster than Chasing Safety ever did.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, like, I didn't even know where we were at with Chasing Safety when that happened. And I was just like, oh, so this is like a big deal. And it was like literally my brother telling me that, yeah, it's a pretty big deal, dude. But this is good. And I was like,
Right.
Cool.
It's like, you done well, my friend, right? Yeah. It's like, yeah.
That's just how little, I think
and it's all before
different.
social media. For the viewers and listeners out there, you got to understand, at the time, it's like Pure Volume and MP3.com and like MTV2 and Fuse. It might have been so much music, but like Fuse, and like, there was like, and MySpace, of course, like into like, but like there was it was all before that. And it was also when like labels still meant a lot, and like, they still mattered today to an extent, but like, it was just like, it's like, well, who's going to press your album? Like, you can do that now. You couldn't do it back then. You'd be dead in the water. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a wild era. But you're right, though, without that social media where you can easily go on Twitter and TikTok or whatever, back then it was kind of just that, like, if you didn't take the incentive to know, but still,
and I think that was the big pushback for me with social media, which is why my social media, I didn't really ever grow it very much, because I liked that. I liked that I could write music and perform and meet people at shows and the signings and the meet and greets, but I didn't have to. I was going through a lot too at different times. Like, I didn't want to be someone sharing like what I'm eating and where I'm sitting down with my friends and pretending that my life looked awesome, because a lot of times it didn't, at least in my brain. Like, I had too much stuff to, like, I was trying to figure out to be wrapped up in social media and trying to have my MySpace be awesome, or I didn't even have a MySpace. I went through that whole era and lived it and didn't even touch it once. Yeah, I was like, but not saying that I'm better than any of that, because we all do it now, but it was a different time to where I think, looking back on it, I'm stoked that it wasn't there, because I wasn't driven by any sort of number at all, because nowadays it's like people are looking at like what everyone's selling. Like, why am I getting emails with what y'all are doing? Like, why does it matter to me? Like, I think it's great if any of my peers are doing good, or a band that we're in the same scene, like, that doesn't hurt me at all. Like, and there's all this weird like numbers thing of Spotify, or how many likes does your picture get and stuff? Does it get as many as last time? Is your algorithm, like, all that stuff? To me, it's just, there's too much emphasis on what people think of it, as opposed to like be driven by what you want to create. Not, like, in a way. And I don't think it's completely neutered it, but I definitely think it's had an effect on things, and equally good and bad. But the bad thing about it is, like, I think if we came out now, like, I would know what those numbers meant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And you'd
like,
have that additional pressure always lingering over you.
And like, going into Lost in the Sound of Separation, like, I didn't think once about what we did last time and what the numbers were, or like, am I going to disappoint our label or our team, or if the number isn't as high? And that's there now for everybody,
right,
including myself. But like, back then it was just not something you thought about, because there wasn't people checking every day, like, how many followers do I have? It wasn't
that boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
But the good thing about, I want to flip that, not just be negative here, but the good thing is now the social media and with streaming and stuff, it's like, you are seeing, like, what we were talking about with the walls are being dropped down. Like, before, if you were a scene kid and you were wearing a shirt that wasn't a scene shirt, or you were going to a show that, like, you wouldn't do that, like, like you were very wrapped up in that identity. And I think now it's like someone can have a Converge song on a playlist, and the next song could be Taylor Swift, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
And I like that. So streaming has also brought that to the forefront of where you can listen to and like anything. And it's not weird to like all these different
Right.
genres as it was before. And that's also helping a lot of these younger, newer bands get heard too, which is an awesome thing. And
Yeah.
like, and to me as a writer, as you know, people could say Slow Tide is pretty much opposite from Underoath as far as genre of rock. And that's because I've created that across the board, so many different things in my life that most people haven't heard or didn't know I was a part of. There's a lot of things that I enjoy that I'm almost been typecast as like a horror guy. It's
Right.
like if you were a horror filmmaker, like that's what you do.
It's
You
like
make
that's
horror
what you
films.
do. You can't go make a rom com.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But you should. As an artist, you should be able to. So I think now, as streaming and social media has become a part of everyday life, has made artists like me who've always made things for different types of people for myself, like it's made me more comfortable to where I can be myself. Like I can make a song about good times and good feelings with Slow Tide and sing falsetto and write this beautiful hook. And I don't need to worry that in Underoath I can have a song where I'm screaming for 5 minutes straight.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I like both. I love horror movies, but I also love fucking Pixar and comedy. And
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to be
sometimes
typecasted into a specific
yeah,
genre or feeling or anything. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes I like fucking rom-coms and cringe TV, but
Right.
sometimes I like artsy films, and so I think it's cool that that will be more of a thing in the future. Is like people that are constantly creating music to feel like they can only do this one thing because they don't want to make their fans mad is a bad place to be in, because I've been there. And I don't, if you've got something in you that you need to get out, like I do it, like
Right. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's beautiful. And it also is cool for Underoath because Aaron makes country music and I make pop music, and we don't have to. There's something in you that you want to get that stuff out, and you want a place for it creatively. And now we don't have to squeeze those things that sometimes aren't needed in Underoath
Right.
because
Yeah.
we got
It's
to.
like,
It's like
yeah. Sometimes
Underoath can be
yeah. Like
what it
sometimes
needs.
bands will bring in like, their own personal band members be like, oh, like something that they're digging lately. And it's like, oh, well, it's for lack of better words, it's a mind fuck and
Yeah.
a lot of bands go through it, especially ones that have been around for like, for a good amount of years, where it's just like, well, I really want to incorporate this, but then you're kind of walking that fine line. Well, it's like, well, does it fit in there? And that's what
Right.
I really took appreciation to Slow Tide, which I kind of want to like kind of jump, which is exactly right, where it's like you don't have to, when you're writing and think about music and all that stuff, it's like some things don't work, but sometimes throughout the years you want to still kind of implement them at the time because you're just like, well, this is what I'm feeling these days, but then you still have to live up to this whatever
Right.
concept is happening, and it can be crazy, but now it feels like it is more accepting, or right now, or you know what, the heck with all of it, man. Just do what you want, right?
Yeah. I think not, this is, I'm definitely having to build from the ground up with it, which is also fun. I'm very, like when I think about Under Oath, it's such a machine now. It's like we're responsible for writing the music and performing it in touring. Like all the other stuff is like there's a big companies behind it and all these, with Slow Tide right now, most people don't know it even exists. A lot of people don't know it exists, and it'll take time for that. I've only put out 2 songs, and but I'm building it like with the small label and team that I have. Is like it's everything's coming from me.
Right.
I write the music. I played every instrument on the album, but the drums, and I even did play some drums, but most of the drums were recorded. All my friends are all better drummers than me, so. Uh, uh, so, and then like from the tweets to the words coming out on Facebook and Instagram and everything, like I'm doing it all in talking to people on there and like communicating with and like building a community myself, which is super fun. And I think Slow Tide is going well because it's completely honest. There's no, I'm not doing this on fucking Universal with $1 billion behind me because I've got a big following. I sell out venues. I'm Spencer from Underoath or whatever the fuck someone would sign me for. It's literally like I'm doing with a small team of a couple people that I know. I did it all myself, wrote it all in my house during lockdown, and then went and re-recorded at my buddy's house, who's a better producer than I am. And then now I'm dropping things and I'm talking to the people, and I'm in like, like I'm doing the skateboard giveaway. If you pre-save Lay Low, which is my new single that just came out. And I did that because I grew up skateboarding and I love skateboarding. It's part of my life. And I want to bring that into the community of what I'm building with Slow Tide, which is bringing things from my life that I love all together, and I'm like, yeah, if you're on board right now and you're paying attention, I'm going to find ways to hook you up with stuff, like whatever I can. So it's been a fun process for me because, like I said, with Underoath, it's like, Underoath is Underoath and it's forever moving and evolving, but it's like, it's almost out of our hands. It's like, we got to go to the studio and write songs and record them and then perform them on tour. But all the other stuff is like, there's a lot.
Right, a lot of people on emails and stuff, but in order to make decisions and stuff. But,
But for example, like you sign up for the Slow Tide email list, and I've only sent out one. I'm going to send out another email this week, but it's like, that's me. Like I wrote, unlike with Underoath.
It's like the old days, right? Where you're like, this is what I have to
I wrote out what I wanted to say to these people that are already following the band, which I think is so rad because it's not even started yet. Like I haven't played a show yet. Like it's just getting started. And it reminds me of the old VFW basement
Fire
ball.
Holidays.
Even though it's a completely different style of music, it's like indie, poppy, surfy, jammy, but it reminds me of that because I'm building this thing. And like people that are a part of it right now, it's like, you're part of it. Like you're helping me build it because there's like, there isn't this big massive playlist picking it up and all these FM stations because I got $1 million behind it. It's like those plays are people going and typing it in and pushing
and
like it's organic. It's all right now in the hands of the people that are paying attention to what I'm saying. So I'm writing them emails and I'm doing giveaways and contests, and there'll be all sorts of cool shit over the next year as I build it that I'm just stoked because I can be really hands-on. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to do a solo project because I didn't want to be in the dark about anything. And I didn't want to have to wait on other people. Like Underoath is 6 dudes with 6 families, and less is more almost. Like if we show up like we did, you'd be like, oh, I'll just catch them next time. Now it's like we have to do less is more because you got to make sure you ask off work or you got a babysitter if you got kids, or you're going to skip school or whatever to wait in line. And so it's like with all that moving, it's like I don't want to slow down. I just want to I want to keep working and stay active with creating and trying to I guess communicate with people, and connect with people musically.
And honestly, man, it for someone that used to flyer and go outside FYE and Sam Goodies and make up my own flyers for bands that I appreciated in the local stuff and all that stuff, 20 people was a blessing back in the day. To hear you be able to say this is so refreshing. That's why I hit you up, because I want everybody out there, as we speak here on the Gunz Show, of course, for everybody, make sure to drop a follow, shout out to everybody in the chat, and more. Speaking here with Spencer Chamberlain, and we're talking about Slow Tide. So it's SLO/TIDE. Just type in SLO, Spotify, wherever, and you'll be able to see it. Make sure to pre-save, like, subscribe, follow all the accounts and more like that, because it is fresh, it is unique, and it's so rad to see, because if there's one thing that a lot of people, no matter what line of work, but it's so easy to become complacent. It's so easy to go through the motions. It's so easy to just be like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm set, and never continue to challenge yourself. And if there's I'm all about living life to fullest. That's kind of like a whatever type phrase. Yeah, sure, whatever. No, it's I'm all about experiencing things I've never experienced before. I'm all about why not? Why not go out and why not go to the Grand Canyon for the first time? Why not do this? Why not do that? It's well, why? Well, on the flip side, why not? Like, why wouldn't I do that? You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and to be able to see that invigoration, that passion, the fire inside, where you're like, writing emails, like I
Oh,
can't
it's so
explain to
fun,
how
dude.
many of you are out there, how many bands and artists are not typing their own emails to people. You know
Nobody
what I
is.
mean? That does not
Nobody.
happen anymore. So like,
No.
but I also feel it because I know like all the stuff that you've gone through, like a lot, not all of it, but like some of the stuff that you've gone through, and like the highs, the lows, the demons, the good times, all that. It's great to see you just it's like 2.0, man, like, or whatever, like 2.0, 3.0, whatever you want to call it, like that you're loving this, man. And plus the music
Yeah.
is just feel good vibes. It's
Yeah.
fucking feel good, man. I can't
It's
wait to see these songs live, dude.
yeah. It's super fun. It's like, so you know how it goes. Like, I feel like being when I was a kid, I love all types of different music, but I'm mostly a rock dude, and not necessarily hard rock. Like when I was listening to, you know, Deftones and Converge
Cool.
and stuff, I was also listening to like Radiohead and Coldplay.
Gotcha.
I've never really been a one side. Like I wasn't a metal kid in school. I loved the only like genre I think I was like so diehard about was grunge because I was learning to play guitar. That was in elementary school, and like Nirvana was everything, and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, like all that
Sonic
stuff.
Youth, Pearl Jam.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah.
yeah, and like because I have an older brother and two older stepbrothers, so I was around a lot of cool music when most of my friends weren't even listening to stuff like that yet. Um, but after that, like it was I pretty much listen to everything but country. I'm just not, I have no hate on country. It's just not really my thing, that I go to, but I've always just, loved music. And as one of my bands that I was in, which is Underoath, which is what people know me by, took off, it happened to be a heavy band. I was in bands before that had no screaming at all. I was the singer in, and been, that I played guitar and sang and all sorts of different stuff. And as Underoath took off, it's like that's one of my this is a band I'm in that's heavy. And the more you're around it, the more you create it, the less you kind of listen to it. So more of the other genres that I love kind of like became my playlists in my like in my spare time. It's like, because a lot of times when you're on tour and you got, like I said earlier, we were on tour like 10 months a year, and all the bands were heavy, nine
A lot
times
of
out of 10.
screaming, a lot of high decibels. Yeah, like high, like yeah, yeah.
And all the drummers are playing super hard. And then in between songs, the fucking house guys are pushing metal and hardcore. And, after so many years of that, you kind of like, not that you hate it, and I don't. Like, I love creating Underoath type music with those guys. If Underoath were to quit tomorrow, I don't think I'd make heavy music because I it's something I do with them, and everything else I do is completely different, like removed from it, because that's my thing. And like those guys are like my family. We've spent so much time together. Like that's my brothers. Like that's what we do together.
Yeah.
And I've just listened to less and less heavy music. There's some heavy bands that I'll never not listen
You
to,
just
like
want
the
to
Deftones.
escape. You need to
Yeah.
escape. You got to say that. Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
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 So I've, outside of a few heavy bands like Tool and the Deftones and, Gojira and a few others that I will always, rep when they put new stuff out. But, like I typically don't listen to a lot of heavy stuff. And also like you gotta think too, Underoath's always creating. So like when you create something, like we wrote a new song, a demo, and then we all go home and we kind of live scattered a little bit. So like you're in the gym and you're like listening to the demo like once a day. So that's, you're still getting like I'm listening to like, okay, how can we make the song better? So I'm constantly listening to heavy stuff and like critiquing of what I'm going to do with it. So then everything else I listen to is just like I'm a huge fan of just more like indie alt kind of stuff. And so when I started to write a solo record, the first thing I wrote originally for Sleepwave, which was a band I did when Underoath was broken up, that was kind of heavy. That started before Underoath broke up, and it was more Radiohead-ish. And then as Underoath broke up, I kind of ditched it all it was like, okay, let's give this a real try, but I still need a heavy outlet. So we started writing like a heavy record or a heavier record.
Right.
And that's kind of why that lane kind of stayed there, because I felt like I still needed that
You didn't want to
energy.
do the dramatic shift. Yeah, you didn't want to do the dramatic breakaway. Yeah.
Yeah, and then as Underoath got back together, then that band was fizzling, falling apart. I started to work on this, which I was working on already a little bit. During Sleepwave, I had started to write songs. None of those made the record, but I was starting to write songs like this. I didn't know I was going to call it Slow Tide. I didn't know if it was going to be completely solo, but I was doing it alone. And
different
then,
vibe, different type of feel, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Underoath gets back together, and that's a whole thing, and we're going. So I'm like, when I had a chance to sit down, which happened to just be COVID, like I had a few songs written that I was kind of fucking around with, and then COVID was just, the world stopped. So I just used my studio every day and just worked on these songs till I got them to a point to where I loved them, So now I'm to the point where I'm finally releasing singles, and eventually the whole record will drop. Yeah.
I can, as we speak here with Spencer, our buddy Spencer Chamberlain, we're speaking here about Slow Tide, SLO/TIDE. Make sure to follow across all social media. It is Gunz here from the Gunz Show. I kind of, I guess the next question will be, so listen, you've been able to release a couple songs so far. It's a vibe. It's great. It's fun. I can't, like, what is the next step? What can you tell us? Like, do you think you'll play a couple shows with Slow Tide? Do you think will more songs be coming out? Will be an album? Will be just one-offs here and there? Can you give us anything like that? Do you have a lot of songs done? Because it is, I don't even have to say, like, Spencer from Underoath is in Slow Tide. It's like, I can play a Slow Tide song, and I guarantee my friends will like it if I fucking play it. You know what I mean? And I don't have to tell them who the hell it is, because it's just a vibe. And that's the coolest thing to me. But give us, like, the game plan of what's lying ahead as far as, like, what's going on.
So the record's done. It's right here. I could push the whole thing out right now.
Okay.
But the world has kind of changed to where it's kind of a singles thing, and it helps you build. It helps people know. Because I think once you drop something, like, everyone's like, cool, it was great, and then move on. So I feel like the world's just musically is in a fast place. And like I was saying earlier in the interview, like, I'm building this thing from literally the ground up. Because it's not, if I went and made a solo metal record, there's going to be this built-in crowd because of Underoath. But, what is that? I don't want to do that. So I'm really building this from the ground up, which has got people that don't like Underoath will like this. It's not like, I just need Underoath fans to come over. It's like, some of them will like it, but I'm like, that's not my target audience. I'm just making music that's completely different. So the record is done. It's mixed, mastered. Everything's ready to go. I'm going to release a song probably once a month.
Okay.
So we can build, the more I drop, the more we can build.
Keep the buzz going. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Keep the buzz going. Make as many videos for the songs as I can. I've been shooting the videos with my buddy. Like, there's a video for the first song, Neck High, that we shot. And then Lay Low is just like a visualizer of clips. I flew my buddy out on my, it's so funny. It's so DIY. Like, I flew out my friend because I knew I was going to need content before anyone knew I was doing Slow Tide. I was like, I'm going to pay for it myself. I got an Airbnb with an extra bedroom just so my friend could shoot me. And I was like, I'm going to pay you myself, and we'll work out some sort of deal. I just want you to at least for a few days. And he came for a couple of days, and they had to fly home. But we just kind of used some footage, B-roll stuff that we had from that to make a lyric video for Lay Low, like a visual sort of thing. But we're going to try to keep, like, visuals and as I'm dropping the songs. And live shows are definitely something I want to do. But I don't want to do what I did in the past, which was try to do it the old way. Like the way I worked with Underoath, like I was saying, like, you grind it out until you build a following. Things don't really work like that anymore.
Right.
Kids aren't going to shows just to go to shows. They're going to see bands that they know. So until there's a demand for Slow Tide, there will be no shows. But there is plans of touring and if I get a support slot or festivals, I will do it all. Nice. But we've got to have the demand, because I'm not going to go out there and grind to nobody. Like we used to. Like, we kind of tried that method with Sleepwave. And, like, the amount of money you lose,
it's not worth. Yeah. And plus, we're all older now, and you're right. Where in the past you could go, I'm talking like 5, 6, 7 band bills. used to happen
Yeah.
in the past, and you would go just to learn a new band. Where it's definitely more calculated now, where it's limited runs, it's limited slots, and it's also like they'll only. And it's just the way it is. It's not shit talking or anything, but you're right. Nobody's getting there lining up for doors to learn about every single band, where it's like they just kind of want to go with their band or maybe 2 or 3 that they might know on a bill. It's just the way it is. The industry changed. Life changes. Yeah. But in the past, I met some of my favorite bands by being like, holy shit, who the hell's opening from Midtown right now? And it'd be Thrice.
Exactly.
It'd be Thrice with Deadbolt. And I'd be like, Tepe, that's amazing guitar work that you're doing right now. What is happening? On the Reggie the Full Effect tour with like Census Fail, Thrice, Midtown, Reggie. And I'd be like, what is happening right now? And Census Fail had an EP out at the time. That was it. Like,
I remember that era. It's different now. And it's not the lack of, I'm not willing to grind for it because I will. I mean, I'm doing things out of my own pocket and doing things because I care.
Right.
But I just don't think that
it's got to be worth it for everybody.
It's like touring to tour isn't the answer these days. So, but their plans are. It's not a side project. Like, to me, it's an equal part of my life as Underoath. I'm putting just as much effort into both. Like, there isn't like, well, this is what I do on the side. Like, it's new and it's new to everybody, but it doesn't mean that it's like, no, it's my side project. I just record songs and put them out. I'm not going to do anything with it. Like, if there was a world tour with Portugal the Man tomorrow, I would be on it. Like, if I was invited or whatever, what I'm saying? Like, if Cage the Elephant wanted me to open the tour, I would be there in a fucking heartbeat. Whatever. I'm just throwing out bands that are kind of in the same genre, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
When there's enough buzz created by the people that are listening to this interview right now and their friends listen, and then someone else likes the song, and then someone, as that stuff builds, like, there'll be demand for me to play and I will be there, but awesome. We got to build it first. We got to earn it. So it's like, just because I'm the dude from Underoath doesn't mean I deserve shit. I gotta work just as hard as everybody else. So
I love hearing this, my man. You know what I mean? You want to talk about humble beginnings, that it's this, for all the viewers, for all the listeners out there, we're listening on the Gunz Show podcast, Adobe Radio, Spotify, wherever you're listening, watching along on Twitch Music right now. This is, like, I'm telling you, this does not happen with a lot of artists these days, or really a line. To be able to hear this, man, and just the energy and the realness of it, where you're just like, yeah, like, you know what, like, yeah, just because I was in and still am in, like, a very successful, awesome, like, a monumental type band, like, doesn't, like you said, you're not owed anything, and that's so rare to hear these days, and that's why I'm even rooting for you that much more. So for the listeners out there, support Slow Tide. All right, that's the name of the band, SLO/TIDE, Slow Tide, SLOTIDE. We're speaking here with Spencer Chamberlain from Slow Tide, as well as Underoath, and that's so fucking rad, man. And I can't, that rules. I got to give a couple shout outs real quick as we continue on here. We've got Carne Sadorda says, I can't wait to see you at the House of Blues Anaheim next month, VIP. They got, which is very cool. We've also got Dan. Dan wants to know what's Spencer's favorite. I was listening to this album earlier today. I was like, oh my fucking God, let's go. What's your favorite song to play live, and why is it Hallelujah? Hallelujah.
I love playing that song live.
It is, dude, the elements on that song. I was listening with headphones earlier today, just kind of like getting the groove or whatnot. I honestly, I'm not even lying, forgot how good that breakdown in the end of that song is unbelievable.
That album didn't get the push it needed. There was teams were changing, and it was the top of the year of post-COVID year, and because Erase Me had like a lot behind it, and then I think we made a better record, and our core audience thinks we make a better record, but a lot of people like just kind of missed it at some point. But the tour, the Voyeurist tour, was even more successful than the Erase Me tour. So I mean, the band is still growing and doing its thing, and we're about to hit the road again we're bringing out Periphery and Loathe, and we're doing that in March. So if you want to catch it, it's really the second tour on that record, really. Like, it's still new to us and to a lot of the fans, and I am still very much in love with the work that we put in. Like that was our first self-produced record as well. Like we didn't have any outsiders on it. It was just there's four of us that work on the records. It's myself, Aaron, Tim, and Chris. And we just,
It's
we went through it.
Dude, that album is so good.
It was hard to, to get to the point in your friendship and in your band to where you can trust each other and be able to tell each other when something isn't good is really tough. And it, like your feelings get hurt, people get mad, like,
everything.
There were some fuck yous, there was some punch in the walls, and there were some hugs, and there were some tears, and there was some laughter. Like it's tough to make it by yourself, but that's what we're doing again. We're already working on new shit, and I think that's just because you got to constantly be, like I said earlier, I think the minute you drop something, people are like, "Oh, that was good." Like it was good. Like it's already past tense.
We're still living in it. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Funny, but we're about to do our second tour off that record. Which is it's already been out for a year, which is crazy. But it dropped in January of 22, and it was like we had to wait to start the tour because of COVID still, and it was like still a little weird out there. And then but now it's we wanted to push the tour to do another US tour till 23 because that tour was a really successful run, and it was the shows were just wild, and it was incredible. But I do love playing. I like playing old songs live, but not for me though. Like I love to see it on like how appreciative our fans are. It's like Underoath is always evolving. Like we're not a nostalgia band, but we know that we have songs that people have an attachment to from their past. But like we're always going to play the songs that people love, and we're always going to play what we're working on in our new stuff now. Like we'll play for 2 hours if we have to, but we're still going to play songs off Chasing Safety, Define the Great Line, Lost in the Sound, so on and so forth. Like we make it a point. Like we're to the point now we have so many songs that people care about. It's not like it's hard to get them in the set list. So, but it's like I do like it. Like we played Down Set Go recently on this cruise that we did, the Emo's Not Dead cruise.
Right.
And that song on record, I hate that song. It's so cringy. The lyrics are, but the vibe of it live and on stage and with the crowd is so sick that I was like, after this, the Emo's Not Dead cruise, I was like, hey, can we play that on the next tour as opposed to like a different Chasing Safety song that we play every tour? Like the people want to hear that song. And I'm like, it's fun to play live, but I hate it on record. But that's a different story. But
that's all. But just the appreciation of just like and that's all about the live. That's the live music aspect, and that's the live show aspect, and also if the fact that you're still able to get those feelings 20 years later, whatever the heck, like like unbelievable. Tell me about. Real quick, we only have a couple more minutes left here as we speak here with Spencer. Definitely follow him across all the social media sites as well. Especially, I know you've answered this in the past, but tell my audience about it, because Hallelujah, listening with headphones and in-ears is a life-changing moment that these things are still coming across. How difficult was that? And the fact that you self-produced it, like you said, it was you guys. It was the core four, whatever the hell you want to call it, of being able to like to do that, and how well it came across. Give me like the abridged, short, less than a minute version description of a song like Hallelujah, which I think could be one of the biggest songs in the effing world, bro. Like, holy fuck, man.
Cool. It's cool. We don't talk about it a lot in our band. Like our band's very humble, which is a good thing, but we're almost like toxic in the way of where we always think that nobody cares, and like no one's going to show up next time, and no one fucking cares about our new stuff. Everyone, it's no one's really like big headed in that way, which is great, but it's almost to the point where it's kind of like maybe borderline toxic. Like we're pretty tough on ourselves and stuff. But like even hearing some of the guys that would like never say something like this, like a lot of times that will come off. There's one or two guys we can talk about the show with, like how the audience was like. I'm up there up front, so I feel it every night. Like I know that cities are stronger than others, just not because they're better city, just because there's just different places have different energies and different vibes, and uh, but to hear some of the guys that would never talk about it, be like, man, like they sing Hallelujah as loud as louder than they sing Boy Brush Red tonight. Like that's such a cool feeling this far into our career to have those moments, because people notice on the inside. Like my band dudes someone in my band that said that would have never said that about any song ever, has never mentioned about how loud the crowd was, how good it was, mentioned it on the last tour about how loud they were singing Hallelujah every night. And I was like, if I could tell all of the Underoath fans, and most of the Underoath fans don't follow me personally and my personal stuff, but if I could tell them all how important that is, I was like, because you guys are helping me, because they're all of them singing that is like, it helps me with the people that are maybe more negative than they should be at times, because I'm like, dude, that the band can feel that is the best accomplishment. It doesn't matter how many records you sell, how many streams, like when you feel it in the room, because we're a live band, like we make all of our money touring. We're a band that plays live shows, that's our thing. And like when the guys that would never say something like that mention it in the green room or on the bus, like, man, they were so loud on Hallelujah tonight, like louder than they were on Dangerous Business, or louder than they were on Reinventing Your Exit, or louder than they were on Riding the Walls, like those things. I'm like, the Underoath fans are incredible for doing that, because I know they're excited and they like the song, but just that we notice. Like when the person who went to the show alone or went with some girl, that he's not too embarrassed to fucking shout the words at the top of his lungs.
Right, go wild and be himself, whether he's in the bedroom by himself or in front of somebody he's trying to impress, losing his mind when that song rips.
Sweating with me on that. And the guy that would never fucking say it says something to me about it later. I'm like, our fans are crushing it right now, because that's the stuff, that's the fuel in the gas tank that keeps the band going, because they feel like, the like that makes them feel like we're still doing stuff, so like we should keep going, like that filled up the gas tank. That last tour, that those people were singing Hallelujah just as loud as the old songs, is the fuel in the gas tank for us to make another record. Just one song. All it took was that. Like, and they don't know that. And I'm not saying that from stage. Like, if you sing this song, my band's gonna make it.
We'll put out more music. Like, no, they don't even know.
Honestly, it's something as simple as that people don't realize. That, like, we're just humans too. Our feelings get hurt too. We go through good times and bad times too. We're just like the guy in the crowd. We worked really hard at something to be up here, and we're up here, but like we're not better than the people standing in the crowd. Yeah. And when they show the appreciation like that, it really does help everyone. And like, no one in our band's getting online and talking like they're the shit and their heads are getting big. They're actually going like, oh wow, people still care. We should keep going. Like it's simple as that. And it's more rewarding than a gold record on your wall to see someone sing new songs that loud live. It's life-changing,
I love hearing that, man. I also love that every time you come on, I have for the new listeners, the new viewers out there, I have no shame. And like, there's one thing about me, I always go from a fan to the fans. That's what the Gunz Show is. Like, I've told bands, very popular bands, that I like the demo version better than the full produced version of their songs. And like, nobody else would say that, but like, what am I going to do? Bullshit? Like, no, I care too much about it. But I love that anytime you come on, I'm going to give you the truth, dude, of whether it's me at So What Music Fest last year being like, I had an amazing experience seeing Underoath, who I've seen probably 40 times throughout my life, and something clicked differently to hear being like, yo, dude, Hallelujah rips still. I'm just the elements to be able to put out those songs, man. You always know I'm going to give you that realness and that vibe as you speak here with Spencer. Listen, man, always a good time to come on. We can't do Emo Millionaire tonight, but I need you to come on with Emo Millionaire, all right? We got to do that. It's 7 questions. Just have everybody from Kellen Quinn to Bayside to Senses Fail to, T Mills, Feldman's been on. Like, we've had a lot of different people across the board come on. Right. I need you to come on. It's 7 questions. Doesn't have to be emo music, quote unquote, but it is kind of like a fun vibe of just music trivia, and fans can participate as well. It's a lot of fun. I definitely want to bring you on for that. But let's do a rapid fire thing real quick. Favorite lyric right now, or what lyric are you most excited to sing on the upcoming tour?
Ooh. I mean, because we've been talking about Hallelujah, the breakdown, the "This Is Fucking Hell" moment is a awesome moment because people lose their minds.
Yeah. So that's one. Okay. Um, who hasn't played the Super? Who needs to play the Super Bowl halftime show?
Oh, damn. Well, that's a weird question.
I did a big piece on it today. So here's my thing. All right. Let me explain why I asked that. So I have 5 artists that I did, and I could even extend it to 8 that have never played it that need to. And when you're talking Super Bowl, it needs to be that mass appeal. So it can't be like, oh, it's my favorite band, because it's got to bridge kind of a gap. It's very difficult to figure out.
I'm thinking, I'm thinking right now, like who on that level could do like maybe like 21 Pilots or something. They have a mass appeal,
Yeah.
and I think their music's great, and I think they're great humans, and they deserve it. I'm trying to think who else has that kind of mass appeal that it wouldn't go over everyone's head per se.
Right.
Like
But
I know
even
that
outside the genre, like who do you think, like what number 2 on my list is Taylor Swift. I was like, Taylor Swift has never played it. Taylor Swift needs
okay.
to play it. Jay-Z I
So
have as number 3.
I
Jay-Z
need
needs
to
to
know,
play it. Yeah.
I need to know who yours are because I'm going to be honest right now.
Yeah, you don't follow.
I don't watch football,
Yes.
so
All
I don't
right.
know who's or not. But I did watch. I watched last year because I wanted to see or was it last year or the year before when the Weekend did it? Because I like the Weekend. I
Yeah,
think
a
he's
couple
sick.
years ago. Yeah, last year was Dre, Snoop. So my top 5 is okay. I have Oasis as number 5. I need Oasis to
Wait,
to cut the
wait,
shit and get it together. All right.
wait. You can't go. You can't start with a band that's broken up because that's my number one because Oasis. Period. I would buy tickets to the Super Bowl, which are way too expensive.
$9,000 just to see Oasis, right? And then leave.
I've had this conversation with Aaron at least 15 times in the last 10 years. It's like, I think they're going to get back together because I follow Liam. Liam to me is the one of the last remaining rock stars. You open a can of worms with Oasis because it's one of the best true rock and roll bands of everything Liam does to me is like that's the definition of cool. Like
Right.
even his solo shit is fucking rad. Like everything that guy does, I look up to his everything. So, anyways, massive Oasis fan. Oh, check this out.
How about this? Let's go for a run. I also had no idea. Oh, do you have the Funko?
Yeah, it just came out. I
Got
had
the
it pre-ordered.
Funko. Oh, you really like Oasis, dude. I truly did not know that. I literally have them on my list because I dropped it earlier today on
You,
Outkick. Yeah.
you can kind of tell some in the slow tide when the slow tide record comes out. When you listen to the vocals, sometimes you can hear a hint of like that influence on me. But anyways, that I've said this conversation like 15 times with Aaron of like I think they're getting back together, or they might. If they do, even if it's just one show, we're gonna fly. Even if it's the UK, like me and you, dude's trip, we have to do it. Like I don't care how much it is, we're gonna do it. And he's like, yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna be there. Like well, there's no way in hell. That's one of the bands I've been listening to my whole life that I've never seen.
Right.
Like
Same. Yeah. Same. Yep. Yep.
I've watched every fucking YouTube to BBC to Glastonbury, everything there is out there. I've seen it, but I've never seen them in person. And I'm like, I would, yeah, if we can go with broken up bands, that's my number
Well,
one.
yeah.
That would be the biggest reunion of all time. I don't think there's a band that could get back together. Even Pink Floyd, if they mended
No, not at all. It does not resonate today. Wonderwall is one of the biggest sing-along songs. Don't Look Back in Anger is one of the most beautiful songs ever created. Wonderwall is one of the biggest sing-along songs of all time. If they could recreate that, it would need to be a Super Bowl setting. That's why I put it at 5 because I need them to cut the shit and just be. I don't care if one's on one end zone and Liam's on that. Like, just they can be on opposite sides of the stadium. I just need them to perform together. It would be
Also,
a beautiful moment for
I also
humanity.
I think they're better than I think they're cooler than the Super Bowl. I think they could if they did a reunion show, they could have that whole place to themselves times 3 nights in a row, probably just to play.
Yeah,
Like I
Liam's
don't
not.
think.
You know what? Liam's not doing the Super Bowl. Absolutely not. He's not fucking doing the Super Bowl.
But yeah, to answer your question, I have no idea because I don't know who.
So my 5 is Oasis into Foo Fighters. Because now that they're doing festivals, Foo Fighters has never played. 3 is Jay-Z. Jay-Z would dominate. 2 is Taylor Swift. And number 1 is Billy Joel. Because Billy Joel's never played it as well. Metallica's also never played it. Garth Brooks has never played it either.
Wow.
So those are a couple of mine. I feel,
I
but
think the Foos would be sick because out of those bands, it's probably my favorite.
and so
That's
many
just my
sing-alongs,
personal.
dude, from the best of you into
But
times like these and Everclear. Imagine ending on Everclear for the biggest audience in the
Everlong,
effing
yeah,
world. Boom.
yeah,
Even
Everlong.
Play Big Me, old school. Like, yeah.
But I also think maybe Dave Grohl's a little too punk for it too. Like I think he would be like, because I think they have to pre-record and fake it on live TV. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes, and I don't think he would do it. I think he'd be like, "Nah, I'm in a play or I'm not." You know.
Decent. All right. All right. But either way, Foo Fighters are, we love Taylor Hawkins. Obviously, I'm very excited that they are continuing on. They're doing a lot of headlining festivals this coming year. I cannot wait. They are going to be special moments for sure. Rapid fire, we continue. A guitar riff that you wish that you wrote, like a riff that you wish you wrote. Mine's Sweet Child of Mine. Or also, you mentioned Radiohead. One of the first guitar things I ever learned was the song High and Dry. All right. There's a guitar part. It's one of the first things I ever taught myself on guitar from listening. Do you know what I'm talking about, Spencer, from
Yeah,
High and Dry?
yeah,
I was
yeah.
7 years old, and I had a $90 acoustic guitar, and that's what I learned. And that's how I got into Radiohead from High and Dry. I don't think they played it in 20 years live, but that's how I did it. I love that riff. Blind Melon, No Rain. Like, what's one riff that you wish you wrote?
How could you not say "Smells Like Teen Spirit"? I mean, come on, dude. That is like
Okay.
the most monumental, life-changing moment guitar riff ever. The intro of that song changed the fucking world, and it changed my life. That shit was, man, that ripped my face off, and it literally made me want to do everything that I do today. Honestly,
One band that you would love to tour with. Underoath, solo, whatever. Well, actually, one band that you would wish Underoath would tour with.
the Foo Fighters.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Have you ever met Dave Grohl?
I have.
Oh, good story, bad story? I actually don't know this.
Incredible story. Best dude ever. Honestly, blew my mind. Such a sweet guy. He had no fucking clue who I was, but he was awesome to me. And we met in an airport, and he like hung out with me for like 20 minutes, like just talking about music and stuff, and like bought me a coffee. And at the time, this was 2000. I was making Lost in the Sound of Separation. I flew out to LA for a cover shoot for Revolver by myself. The band was still in Atlanta making, and then I flew back the next day, and they were on their way to Japan. I didn't know this, and my flight got moved to the international terminal, so I make my way over there, and then I see Pat Smear walk by, and I'm like texting my brother. I'm like, that's cool. I'd met Pat a few times, and then I saw Taylor come in, and I was like, fuck, the Foo Fighters are here. Like, I know they're here because Taylor and Pat are here. And then sure enough, I saw Dave Grohl, and I went into like one of those like bookstore, the newsstand
Like
things,
Hudson
whatever.
News things. Yeah.
Yeah. And I called my brother. I was like, dude, Dave Grohl just walked past me. And he's like, you gotta say something. I was like, I can't. Like, I can't be that guy. Like I get it all the time. I know if he's in the airport, like he's like, you're gonna regret it if you don't. So I went up and I tapped him on the shoulder. And they were in a group. There was Taylor, Dave, Pat. They were in a circle like this, standing by the gate, and I tapped him on the shoulder. And I was like so embarrassed and shy to do it, but I did it because my brother told me to do it. And he was like, "Oh, what is this?" And I was like, "Oh, fuck." And he's like, "I'm just kidding." He's like, "What's up, man?" And like grabbed me like that.
Wow.
And I was like, I was like, oh man, I was like, I don't want a picture and autograph. I just want to tell you that everything you've done from Nirvana to Foo Fighters is like impacted my life more than I could tell you. And I just had to tell you that. And then he was like, dude, what's up? Who are you? Are you coming to Japan? You want to come to Japan with it? Like he was, I think they probably had a few drinks at this point, but he was like kind of fucking like with me, like trying to get me on this flight to Japan. And then he was like, let's grab a coffee. You want a coffee? And there was like this little, it was like still in the terminal. Like, it wasn't like you had to go in. They had like little espresso shots. I didn't drink coffee at the time. I love coffee now, but I didn't really like coffee back then. And I fucking sucked that thing down.
Yeah, right. You did. Dave Grohl offers you a goddamn espresso. You're drinking an espresso. Let's go.
And he was asking me like who I was. Like, why wasn't in LA? I was like, oh, I just did a shoot for Revolver. He was like, I was on the cover of Revolver last year. He's like, oh, you were Revolver. I don't know who you are. And he's just like, awesome. Just talking. And I ended up telling them kind of who I was and having a conversation and laughing with them, and like still didn't ask for a picture, no autograph, nothing. I just hung out and was like, okay. Then their flight boarded, and then mine was boarding like 20 minutes later. And I called Randy, who our manager, and told him I met Dave Grohl at the airport, and we had this great conversation. And he told, who's the guy at Red Light that worked with Foo Fighters? Can't remember the manager's name. I probably shouldn't say it anyway, but he sent Dave to find the great line because we were working on Lost. And as the story goes, I don't know if it's true or not, but I was told that Dave listened to it and thought it was rad. But I don't know if that's true, if he actually listened to it or not. But he sent it to him before, in his email. Like literally 10 minutes later, Randy told, because Randy worked with their manager at the time,
right?
And Randy told him, that was like Randy's boss or something, who, for those of you guys who don't know, Randy's Underoath manager, still to this day. And so Randy told his boss, and his boss, who managed Foo Fighters, emailed the record,
and Dave Grohl apparently listened as a story.
Apparently, but maybe not. And if not,
we need to make sure he does.
If not, that's okay. He was so nice.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. And so cool. And I've ran into him one other time in Australia at a bar, and had like a little conversation with him. Nothing like this encounter because it was loud and it was a bar, but yeah, massive Nirvana and Foo Fighters fan. So it was about as fangirl of me as that you'll ever see. Next to Liam would be probably the most.
Well, listen, we've learned a lot, dude. Always a pleasure, dude. Spencer, dude, so good, man. And full circle. I have to end there because that kind of like full circle of everything that we've been talking about from somebody that like it's gone through multiple projects, multiple bands, and then like has seen the rise and the good times, the bad times, the highs and lows. Like we've been able to talk to you about like flyering and writing out 2004 Warped Tour and flyering what time you're gonna be on and be able to have massive success into like Slow Tide and writing out the emails and kind of getting hands on everything as far as like how the band's gonna go and like the promotion aspect and what's gonna happen, into being able to effing meet Dave Grohl and actually have like a legit conversation, and just being like, and also, dude, no regret. Like, would you have regretted if you never said hi to him? Yes, right? Absolutely.
I wouldn't have had this story.
Yeah.
I was worried that they were going to be tired or right. Like not want to talk or whatever, or think I was just some annoying kid. Like I get it. Like sometimes it's just the wrong time. But
it's Steve Grohl. You got to do it when it's there, right?
I'm so glad that I at least. I thought about it too. I had time to think about it because I was waiting in the terminal. I was like, how do I do this?
Like just pacing back and forth.
I think there was a directory sign that I was kind of like hiding behind a little bit. I kind of talked to my brother. I definitely planned out like, okay, how can I not sound like a complete loser? So I'm just gonna tell him that his music means a lot to me. That's it. That's all I'm gonna do. And I walked over there and did that. And the first thing him doing, going like, oh, what's this? What now? Or something.
And you're just like.
I probably turned white as a ghost, but then he was fucking with me. He was like, "Oh, I'm just kidding," and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so glad I did this."
That's awesome, man, dude. Shout out to Foo Fighters, shout out to Liam and Oasis, and shout out, of course, to Slow Tide. That is Spencer right here, man. I do appreciate you coming on. We'll have you on to do Who Wants to Be an Emo Millionaire. Listen to the new song. Listen to the rollout of the upcoming songs. Everybody out there, it is Slow Tide. SLOTIDE. It's Spencer here. WSC Chamberlain. Let's go. WS Chamberlain, I should say. And dude, always a pleasure. Thanks for the friendship.
Slow Tide socials is just at Slow Tide Band, and it doesn't have the W in it. Right. So when you're looking at it on the paper, it's SLO/TIDE, and the slash takes place of the W. But on your socials, it'll just be at Slow Tide Band. And I know it's not a band; it's just me. But that's what was available, and that's what I did.
There it is. We got to do what we got to do what we got to do. So, dude, always a pleasure, man. We got to have you back on soon. Thank you for everything, dude. And dude, always a pleasure. I told you all. Anytime Spencer's on, we just do it. We tell stories and always inspiring, man. It's like. It's my therapy. You know what I mean? It brings me to good times and good memories as well as everything, dude.
That was so fun. We got to do it again.
Rock and roll. Appreciate it.